Blessed Love family, great news from the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. We are now enrolling new students for our ongoing international homeschool program. Yes, family, now is the time to contact us to get more information on our African heritage classes as well as our astronomy classes. Let me explain. Our classes are factually and scientifically based, plus designed and prepared for the inquisitive yet tender mind of the child. Classes are sent out daily via the email and will appear in your inbox every Monday to Thursday. Your young ones will receive over 140 classes in a 10-month period. That's an academic year. Interactive, colorful. Your children will love it and you will be happy that you made that investment in them. But listen to this. We have a very special offer for you, family. This 10-month homeschool program usually goes for $50 per month. But for a limited time, you will pay only $30 per month. And hear this, not $3, but $200 for the full academic year if you decide to take the full year package. This is a worthy investment in your young ones. To enroll today, email us at priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com or visit the website priestisaacinstitute.com for more information. Also, feel free to ask us for a sample, a free sample of our classes. Once again, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Blessed.
Well, I'm right here. Of course, giving thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile, Selassie I. Blessed love to each and every one. Give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, we're talking about another edition of Chalice Talk. And listen, I'm not even going to waste any time. I'm going straight into it this time around. You know what we're dealing with today. We're actually preparing for the lecture on Sunday. So family, what we're going to go through right now, I am preparing you for the grand lecture this Sunday, the 26th day of December. I hope you already have your spot. I hope you already made your payment. It's only $20 specifically, and it's going to be on Boxing Day. I'm sure it's a day that you would definitely full joy relaxing with the family and getting some good knowledge and information. This is Haile Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry. And of course, no matter how much I try to explain, many ones still even get a bit offended because of the title, as if, you know, these words, you don't mix them together. I mean, listen, man, I'm too mature in the spiritual realms to even get into those kindergarten conversations. That's not even kindergarten. Kindergarten is of a higher level. I mean, we got to get out of this, man. We're too religious in our thinking, so we tend to get warped with understanding. But anyway, that's what we come to balance out here, definitely in the tiger's nest. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to be actually taking in a bit of the documentary we did about 2-3 years ago. Is Haile Selassie a Mason or Freemason? I think the title was. And I'm going to take in a bit of it. That was like an hour and a half long. I'm not going to watch the whole hour and a half. You just take in a bit, kind of get your mind prepared. And then, of course, you know, after we already get to a certain level, we will reason on what we have been watching. And so when you come into the lecture hall on Sunday, you know, we can just advance. And for those of you who have been with us for the last couple of days, remember we went through Fairy Tale Folly Days and Nursery Crimes 2 evenings ago. Wonderful lecture, I'm telling you. I know all of you that were there really appreciate, loved it. And then, of course, previous evening was the Santa Claus Massacre. That as well. To be honest, you know, I was going to begin the meditation today with us, you know, looking at a bit of what we covered last night in the Santa Claus Massacre. Man, we went deep, man. We went real deep going into Father Winter, Father Christmas, showing you the connection with Odin and who is so-called God. And man, I can't even give you all of that information because family, you could still watch the lectures if you desire. Eh? So the 3 massive lectures that we have been highlighting for the last month, 2 have already passed. And we have 1 more to go, which is on Sunday. But if you desire, you could still see the fairy tale folly days and nursery crimes, and you could still see the Santa Claus Massacre. You could still get the 3 lecture package for the same price, only $50, you know, or you could, I mean, if you just want to see the Santa Claus Massacre alone, you could still order that and watch it even on Boxing Day or tomorrow, so-called Christmas Day, or tonight, whenever. You could still order the Santa Claus Massacre. Trust me, it is something that your family will full joy, something that would add to them. I mean, we got to be psychologically serious in this time. And that is why I do these lectures. That is why I do these videos. That is why we bring out these information or this sort of information so you could comprehend where our state of mind really is. And for the little ones, family, although I was saying so, I didn't expect the fairy tale lecture to be, I will use the term, so much fun. It was really a joy to do that lecture myself, the prince and the princess. And, you know, in the midst of all that information, there was so much humor. I'm definitely happy that those of you who, you know, found value in the work that we did, you know, I'm honored that you know, found value in yourself too, to purchase the ticket to come to these lectures. I'm very honored. So 1 more to go to bring to an end these 3 lectures that we've been speaking about, and that is Sunday. So we're going to be prepping for that now. This is going to be the granddaddy. And of course, for those of you, you know, who have the PayPal and the CashApp link, our links is in the description below. You could just go below. And of course, just make your payment for the lectures. And when you make your payment for the lectures, just email us, of course, priestisaacInstitute@gmail.com, and let us know, yeah, I made my payment for the lecture on Sunday. I would like the link, I would like the ticket, and definitely we will cover you. Or I've made my payment for all 3 lectures. We will send you the recording of the other 2 right away, and you could just take them in tonight, tomorrow, or whenever. Okay, and don't forget, the 2nd of January, we'll be celebrating our Earth Day. And remember, we have a special on the International Homeschool Program. Remember, once you order the International Homeschool Program before my Earth Day, which is the 2nd of January, 10:23 in the morning, Eastern Caribbean time, once you do that, you get a free Tiger's Nest t-shirt. No questions asked, man, free. Ship it to you for free, the Tiger's Nest t-shirt, with or without stripes, whatever color you desire. I wonder if I should show you the Tiger's Nest. But you know the Tiger's Nest t-shirt. Just go to our website. I'm talking about priestisaacInstitute.com, and you go into the area known as shop, and you'll find the t-shirt. But you don't have to do all that. Just order specifically the International Homeschool Program for yourself or your young ones, and you definitely get a free t-shirt. Wonderful, family. So as I said, we're going to hold this meds now. You know how we do it. Also, your chalwa, you don't know. You could definitely order your chalice from the man, Prophet Daniel. That's an easy thing to do. Hey, let me show you what's going on the website, so you could be clear what I'm saying here for you, you know. For example, you visit the website right away. You go to the shop region, all right. And when you scroll down the shop region specifically, you will see there you have the custom-made chalices by the man, Ja Daniel. Definitely get your chalice today. And for sure, and even the donate button, we're going to be preparing a gift button for the Earth Day. So those of you who wanted to, you know, give a gift for the Earth Day, I'm sure there are those of you who are kind enough. I know some of you wouldn't even care about that, but I know there's some of you who are loving it, kind-hearted, and you appreciate what the Honorable Priest Isaac does, and you know it is his birthday. I'm sure you would want to, you know what I mean, supply some sort of gift. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. But if you want to, you could make all of those donations right here on the website. But as I said, we're going to be creating a whole gift box for that come the 2nd. All right. So as I said, you could definitely get the Honorable Prophet Daniel chalices here. You just press and everything goes through. As simple as it can get. All right, let's go straight into, oh no, I was going to show you the shirt, the Tiger's Nest shirt. So you get a good idea here. They are Tiger's Nest. Nice t-shirts, man. You could get one for the young child that you're ordering the International Homeschool Program for, or treat yourself and get one for yourself, whether it's extra large, extra small, black, white, pink, as the Prince would say, with or without stripes. You can get it and it's absolutely free. This is 26 minutes into the presentation we did. Is Haile Selassie a Mason? This was a full documentary, online lecture as well. So we're just going to continue from where I am. Obviously, I didn't start at the beginning here. This is on YouTube, by the way. And we're just going to reason as we go along. Those of you who have seen this before, trust me, it will be refreshing to take it in again. Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah, Rastafari, what shall I render unto Farai for all its good benefits towards me? I shall take the cup of salvation and call upon his holy and terrible name, the 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. King Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah, Rastafari, blessed love family. Bless the chalice before. Don't take them out of the same, from under the umbrella that they are under. But when you're dealing with history and you're dealing with academical conversations, intelligent conversation, and you want to drop the academics properly, you got to know the difference for understanding. So when you ask a very serious question like if Haile Selassie is a Freemason, and even if Haile Selassie is a Mason, you got to be clear of who you're speaking about and what is the subject that you're speaking to. So now, in this whole mistake, Solomon's temple again, you know, this great temple of Solomon that was built for the Ark of the Covenant. And before we go there, let us just read something here on Hiram Abiff quickly. And it says, Hiram Abiff, and I'm taking this here, this one straight off of Wikipedia. It's not no great scholarly research we're into here. We're just giving you the basic facts that everybody knows. Hiram Abiff, the widow's son, is a central character, listen to this, of an allegory presented to all candidates during the 3rd degree in Masonry. Hiram is presented as the chief architect of King Solomon's temple, who is murdered in the temple he designed by 3 ruffians as they unsuccessfully attempt to force him to divulge the master mason's secret password. The themes of the allegory are the importance of fidelity and the certainty of death. So basically, Grand Lodge and Masonic Lodge these Freemasonic bodies as well, they all pay some homage back to this Hiram Abiff and also to Solomon. In some of these lodges and temples, they utilize not only Bible, but Quran. As you could obviously see, they utilize certain aspects of agency, the Fez, Islamic and Moorish traditions, And they also obviously highlight the Kemetic aspect of it. So without a doubt, from your mentioned Kemet for sure, you have gone beyond Solomon. So this is what I'm saying here now. Some people would argue if Solomon exists or not. Well, at the moment, as this just said, the Hiram Abiff story is an allegory presented to the third degree. And I'm showing you the allegory is that 3 of the workers wanted the secret. And they couldn't get it from Brother Hiram, so they took the tools that they were working with and they slugged them out, and they really leveled him with the level and the mallet and whatever else it was. And what happened? According to some stories, he was buried 3 times. 3 times. Interesting. They say the same thing about Marcus Garvey. He was buried in a shallow grave. And not Marcus Garvey, I'm speaking of Hiram Abiff. And the acacia tree, the cassia, the acacia, which we call here in Antigua the cassie tree. It sprung out, which was symbolic of resurrection. And we have a specific type of cassie tree, the Alabamba, that is found in Greencastle Hill. And it is said that Hiram Abiff symbolically was resurrected with the grip of the lion paw. All right. So I'm saying that most people, when they speak of Masonry and Freemasonry, it's usually the Illuminati and Jay-Z and these fellas, man, the Bilderbergs and the Council of Foreign Relations and the one eye. Don't you see Beyonce did the one eye symbol, and watch Larry King and the handshakes and the aprons and the black and white checkered floor. You need to watch it, man. Prince Harry and Meghan, they were married on the checkered floor. What are you talking about? How long has the checkered floor been in there? I mean, you know that's their game. I mean, we as if we look at the dollar bill and the eye and the pyramid, we know that's their game. There's something deeper than that taking place. I mean, come on, man. When you fold the $20 bill in a man, you see the buildings crumbling from the 9/11 attack. When you fold the $20 bill in the form of an airplane, what a thing. Talk about subliminal messages. Talk about some secret science. Obviously, the whole Masonic agenda, the Freemasonic ideology is obviously involved in all of these aspects of the system that has been created around us. Everything. Man, there is nothing that really escapes this. Down to the air condition in your car. Down to your car. I mean, everything that has a symbol, you just gotta wonder. Some of us that like to talk about symbols, just the cap you wear, the cap that has been designed, what you call the baseball cap that has been evolved. I don't want to disrespect no one, you know. I'm not saying anything wrong with you wearing a cap if that's your choice. But if I was you, I would be very careful about talking about Masonic signs and symbols and this and that, and don't look into what we wear. The cap itself, that wasn't designed from no anciency. Listen to me good. The necktie is the hangman's noose. Obviously, it's very symbolic of a chain around your neck. And they're pulling you to wherever they need you to fulfill your work. I'm going to work, you know, tie my tie. It is masonry. Man, you have on a Nike shoe, the Nike symbol.
The goddess of speed, the Roman goddess of speed. I mean, come on. That's why Nike and Mercury and some of these fellas and Batman and Robin, you see them with the Robin specifically with the wings on their shoes at time, and the wings on their helmets. You know, so Nike is fast. You know, a sports shoe, many different varieties, and British Knight, BK. Almost anything that's around you, even the stuff that you're drinking and eating, anything with a symbol, you just got to be careful sometimes. Since you're into symbols, that's what I'm saying. I'm not telling you to go haywire on these symbols, you know. I don't. But since you are into symbols so much, and look at this symbol and look at that symbol, look at that handshake. Which handshake? My brother, a handshake in general. The handshake concept alone is Masonic. So it doesn't have to be this type and that type and the other type. Everything a person do with their hands, people just flip out. I am telling you. But what I'm showing you, my brothers and sisters, is that it's deeper than all of that. That's almost another level of distraction. That's just the fluff of it. When you go to the depths of the science now, if I was you, I would look for the origin of this all. I know our brothers and sisters like to say we were the first Masons. Well, again, the term Mason, if you are to investigate Mason, you would obviously more than likely come across the craft of Masonry, which is not now no secret society I'm speaking of. I mean the craft of bricklaying. Please listen to me, good my family. I hope you're with me. The art of bricklaying is what we all know as Masonry. You know? So building a wall, building a house, building a temple, building in general, Masonry. So this is why the Hiram Abiff as an architect and the Solomon himself as a great builder too, the whole science is that in their building, as when you read of in the Bible, the different things, the porch and the pillars, the Doric and the Jachin, the Boaz and the Jachin, I should say, which is the Doric and the Corinth. These pillars in the Solomonic building of that temple for the Lord, they're very important. So within the Masonic bricklaying science of building is hidden this secret science of quote unquote God, is hidden this secret science of nature within Solomon's temple. If you were to see it in its real essence before it was supposedly destroyed, you would be able to geologically unravel the mysteries. If you pick up the code, you would see the geometry of it would reveal prophecies of things to come. You know, if it is what we are supposed to understand it to be, its whole makeup was supposed to be in line with the movements of the heavens. Why? Because the structures that were way before that, I'm talking about the Great Pyramid of Giza for sure, and even structures in the Western world, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, they were well built and designed to fulfill all that I just said, well in alignment with the movements of the heavens and the earth. Remember the pyramid, you know, the vertical height of the Pyramid of Giza multiplied by 10 to the 9th power is the exact distance from the earth to the sun. This is the Pyramid of Giza, thousands of years before King Solomon. Remember the length of the base side, which is 9,131 inches divided by the sacred cubit, which is 25, gives you 365.24 days. Pyramid of Giza I'm speaking of. And this is the solar year, not 365, you know, 365.24. perfection, in this monument of such size. I'm sure the Solomon Temple in its reality, you could fit maybe at least 500 of them, or maybe more. I'm sure more. Maybe 5,000 Solomon temples could have fit inside of the construct of the Great Pyramid, I'm sure. And I'm sure that Solomon's temple did not have such precision in its makeup when compared to that of the Pyramid of Giza. We're talking about the length of the king's chamber, multiplied by half the length of the antechamber, gives you the same 365.24. Even a circle with the length of the antechamber for its diameter, which is 116.25 inches. This circle now has a total circumference of 365.24. And that can be seen, and pi can be seen in the very same pyramid over and over again. When you add the length and the height of the king's chamber and divide this value by the width, you get the value of pi, which is 3.141 and onwards, you understand. And epsilon can be seen, which is 2.718, and phi 1.6, all of this, inside of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And it's not the Great Pyramid of Giza alone, but of course we understand the science of it, that we must highlight it. But again, as I said, when you go to places like Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, and then when we look into even the buildings of the pyramids of the sun and the moon, when we look at the Dogons, and even the performance that they give a specific performance, a specific dance, the 60-year cycle of Sirius, and what was said to be the binary cycle of Sirius. Some say it's 3 now, but the binary cycle, as some of our great scholars have expressed to us, the Dogons emerge and perform a dance that is really the movements of the heavens and the movements of planets and stars being expressed before your very eyes in this very ancient dance. I'm saying we've been doing that for thousands of years. That is a natural connection to the heavens. That is what you would call today secret science. Because just as the Milky Way, which is in the heavens, aligns with the River Nile, and again, that is the work of the nucleus, what you would call God. At the same time now, we the Ebonites of the planet who brought civilization to the planet again, this ancient civilization to the planet, mathematics and theology, in our rituals, we connected to the esoteric secrets and express it, as I said in the series that I did on the mystic vibration shock of the hour, speaking of symbolic writings. We use the esoteric message of not just writing, of song, of dance, of theater, of instruments, storytelling, in an esoteric allegory form. That's why all stories belong to Anansi. And we used this, I repeat, in theater form as well, in singing, in dancing, in lecturing, in the written form. We use music and song, our culture, to express our theology, to express even our history. We would express our history in allegorical form.
And I'm just stopping him there for the moment. Just, just maybe I can bring it down in some more plain language still. I don't know if you catch what the brethren say. So in ancient Africa, we have several ways of expressing several things. So all the means and ways of expression goes for all the means and the ways of the things we are expressing. So if we're expressing history, we can do it either by talking it, writing it, we can paint it in a symbolic and metaphorical form. We can dance it, as like what you were seeing the Dogons doing. We can sing it. We can just play instrument with no words and you still get the history. We can express our history doing all of that. Yeah. We can express our culture doing the same thing. Yeah. We can speak it. We can write it and you can read it. We can draw it and paint it. We can dance it. We can sing it, etc., etc., etc. We can even wear it as clothes and teach. We teach in your culture and poetry and all sorts of different things. We all eat it and so real. So we have that ability. That's how we teach. I always use this example when it comes down to this example here with Marcus Garvey. Many ones argue that Marcus Garvey never really said, you know, that you must look to Africa because a king gonna crown and he gonna be a liberator, as it's said to have been said. Specifically for my record, that was said on the 27th day of March, 1928 in Elvis Park, according to the book Rastafari and Jamaica. So you go, Rastafari and Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yes, from
Rastafari
1930 to 1990.
No, Rastafari and Jamaica.
Yeah.
And Jamaican Society.
And Jamaican Society. Give thanks on all the princess. 1930 to 1990. The German fella there.
Netherlands.
Yeah, from the Netherlands. Pardon.
Jean van Bergijk.
You hear the name there? Jean van Bergijk, yeah. From the Netherlands. Just giving you the source. People like to say source up. So that's a source, a big, heavy white book. And in that book, in detail, Marcus Garvey said that. You know, but I mean, if a man feels he's a bigger scholar than Jean-Jacques there, it's just you. But the ones would argue that, okay, he didn't say that according to people, but he had a play. Everybody agree with that. People bring that to me. Say, boy, Ras, y'all talking foolishness. Marcus Garvey never said that. You know what? Marcus Garvey had a play once. And in the play, a king and a queen, that even add more flavor to it. A king and a queen get crowned in Ethiopia. So man take that as something big, and when Selassie get crowned, man, they say, boy, Marcus said this. Marcus never said that. You see? That's to show how powerful Marcus Garvey is. That is even deeper than him saying it. That is really for those who are initiated in the craft to pick up. If he did say it, everybody would pick it up. But to do it in a play form, those who understand the science would say, but hey, this is the same thing Marcus Garvey expressed, because that is how we do it in Africa. Marcus Garvey is an African science man. That's why he can tell you he coming back in earthquake and lightning and different things. He's a science man. So that is an example of how we do it in Africa. So he did say so, even if he didn't say so. And I honestly believe he said it with his mouth. But of course, I believe, man, they have several. It's like how people like to pull out when they say, the king was a coward and an XYZ and all of that. We'll have how many records in the Marcus Garvey paper where Marcus Garvey mentioned the young Rastafari and how he expects great things from the young Rastafari and all of that. So I mean, yeah, Garvey don't predict the man coming emperor, even in a leisurely conversation. The man dropped that, big thing. It's just knowledge. You know what I mean? We're too religious. Yeah, but so I'm just showing you that example to show that even if he didn't say it, as an African, he knew how to express it in the theater. That's one of the ways. Theater, dance, what else I said? Whether it's singing with music or singing with words, or in storytelling, very important storytelling. How I left out that storytelling. That's why all stories belong to Anansi. And we express prophecy as Marcus Garvey did. We express history, things that don't happen already. We express our culture, how we behave, how we do things. We express our religion. All of these things are expressed using these different modes. Yeah. So pardon me for interrupting the little presentation here, but that was just to add to what the brother is saying. Who's really me? This is me talking. If you didn't know, you knew. Oh, okay. So all right, Tiger's Nest in full effect. So just giving an understanding, family, as it relates to how it goes with the African science. What I'm explaining here, just in case you need a little more clarity when it comes to that. All right.
To express and teach our culture to the upcoming generations. This is how we expressed ourselves in this high science. So when we observe the Dogons now, as I said, and their dance, directly connected to the movement of the Sirius star system, and we look at the Nazca line that is seen in South America, the Nazca lines expressing the different animal forms, the monkey, the spider. The Nazca lines can only be seen properly from a specific height. You are talking about images and lines running for miles upon miles, creating, as I said, the spider, the monkey, and other formations that you could only see from the heights, from the above. So I'm just showing you here, we've always been connected to the mystics and the esoteric and this secret expression. All of our monuments that we have built, from Stonehenge in Great Britain, and the Adams calendar in South Africa, and the great Zimbabwean walls of Monomotapa, they are all coded to be decoded, filled with science and hidden messages, down to the stones and the minerals that was designed to create them. There's still a message even within that. That is how deep that this thing goes. So this is why even the 2160, which of course you know is the years of an age, 2160 years per age, is the length of the moon in miles going across. It's miles across, 2160 miles. 2160. This is why Venus, the planet Venus, makes a 5-point star every 8 years. Venus now. So we gone beyond, the building of, anything. We're talking about Venus now in the heavens, makes in its movement, draws a specific formation every 8 years. It completes it, and the formation is a 5-point star. So when people jump up and say, oh, Bobo Shanti, because Bobo Shanti Masonic too now, Oh yeah, man, Bobo Shanti carried the black 5-point star. Well, you can't argue with Bobo Shanti. You're going to argue with Venus. Ask Venus why every 8 years she makes a 5-point star. And why does she choose 8, which we highlighted in the documentary Mystically 7, that the number 8 is symbolic to the R. The Bobo Shanti carry the R too. We must be Masonic. A lot of things about us, we like to put our hands on our hearts. I see the Masons do that too, but they use the quote-unquote right hand. The Bobo Shanti use the vertical hand. We gotta be careful with this. We may be Masonic too. Yeah. So that's why when people come with the 5-point star argument, boy, that's Baphomet. I mean, which book did you read to get that in? Or you saw it on some video on YouTube. I'm sure that's the case. What studies have you really done to come to that conclusion? You may be correct. That may be the star that Baphomet decides to use and turn it upside down. I can't go into all of that. But I know again that Venus, which is very key, the morning star, draws a pattern. And I've studied it properly on different softwares that you could find for yourself and get the what do you call it, the simulation of the movements of the heavens, and you can map it your own self once you give it time if you're serious about research. So I'm just showing you in different forms, and we can go on of how we applied the mystery system, the mystics, the movement of the heavens, applied it to our life, applied it to our theology, applied it to our conception, applied it to our culture, and then we applied it to our building, the step pyramid of Saqqara, the temples of Kemet, the pyramids in Kush. We applied it to our quote-unquote masonry. We applied it to our architecture, the science of life, the science of harmony, the science of prophecy, and the science of culture. Straight up. And again, this is all before King Solomon.
I just want to come in there quickly, I'm sure the brother have it covered, but just to clarify what he's saying there. So he's just saying within all that cosmic, in the ancient time, with our understanding of the great mystics and the movements of the heavens now, the heavens before the Nazca lines, for the Nazca lines and everything on the earth is created from the heavens. So we already understood the dimensions of the heavens and the movements of Venus and what else he touched upon there. But touch upon something else there. But just a few examples. Those are just a few examples. And Sirius, yes, and all of that. Those are just a few examples of our understanding, our comprehension of how the heavens move and rotate and express itself. And he's saying now that we took that and we started to express it in our buildings. Listen to me, family. That's very key. Remember, we're prepping you for Sunday, So Sunday, we ain't got to go through this because it's a higher level we carry this Sunday when we deal with Haile, Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry. So even for those who never even watched this documentary, at least you're getting a piece of it now to give you or even remind you of where we were with understanding of what this science of quote unquote masonry really is. So when we speak of, the Africans and the Egyptians were the real masons and first masons, yeah, it's good to say so, but you have to say that with substance so people can understand. People will lose you with that kind of talking. People will lose you. But so it's clear. So we understood the movements. We comprehended the heavens. And we took that and crafted that into the monuments that we built, pardon me, and it expressed the fullness of the movements of the heavens, yes, but it expressed prophecy, prophecy specifically for sure. That's why the pyramid of Giza is so prophetic. And of course, that also expressed the fullness of nature, the distance of the earth from the sun, the moon distance from the sun and the earth, and all of these things inside of the Great Pyramid. That is why that is the master mason builder or building, if I do dare say so. I don't think there's anything else that has been built that proves itself to be so, connected with life, prophecy, history, nature, geometry, and anything else like that pyramid that has been attributed to Khufu. So that's basically, what the brother is saying here. Let me just give back the show to you.
And it's very sad that Solomon's temple was destroyed to the point that, all remains is a wailing wall. And since we've mentioned Solomon now again, to the question at hand, is Emperor Haile Selassie a Mason And I'm going to double it because basically, is he a Freemason? We can boil everything into one. Because the science is what I'm dealing with. Now, in one of our radio programs, and I think, yes, we have it on the YouTube as well, we were speaking of Haile Selassie as it relates to him not having locks and Rastafari having locks. And I want to stress here, as I said at the beginning of this lecture, this is not designed to convince you of the divinity even of Haile Selassie I. Neither am I attempting to prove to you the same divinity. I'm saying that now and continuing to express that in that episode that I was doing entitled Haile Selassie, why Haile Selassie doesn't have locks, and of course Rastafari carries locks, I highlighted a scripture in the Bible, in the book of Isaiah, that speaks of the Lord in the day of his coming, shaving with a razor that was hired from the king of Assyria. And I highlighted again that if we take this on its very simple level, and some people would show you that Haile Selassie I came from a tradition where the youths here would not be cut, and we have that tradition around here, but in that time he was actually locked until a specific time in his younger age. Fair enough. And of course the strongly devoted ones will tell you, well, listen, Haile Selassie has his locks now, and I'm in total agreement with you. But what I'm just saying here is that outside of that part of it, and what that highlights also is the anciency of the locks itself. Because I showed you on Tutankhamun's footstool, you have the three three specific types of human beings that are seen in the burial chamber of Lord Pakal. In the mask of Lord Pakal, these same images can be seen. You see the image of the man with the locks and the beard, and you see the image of the man with the beard and no locks, and you see the image of the Olmec. And I've highlighted to you in the documentary 7 that we see that as Haile Selassie, Prince Emmanuel, Marcus Garvey. Prince Emmanuel, a very key figure, as he is the expression of the priesthood. And this is why when he speaks of Baba Shanti, you hear one speaks of Baba Shanti being the priest. Now, Nyabingi order, within the Nyabingi order, they do have priests. I mean, in every tradition they have their priests, and Baba Shanti have their priests as well. But I am saying that King Emmanuel Charles Edwards is the priest, the Melchizedek figure that bring forward that priesthood order in its expression within the realms of Rastafari. Now, Kadamawe, whether you agree or not, now Kadamawe, Haile Selassie I, is the fulfillment of that prophecy that says the Lord shall shave with a razor that is hired from beyond the rivers of Assyria, the king of Assyria. And I see that in the depths of Haile Selassie being the individual that brought Ethiopia into its modern state. Now, this is a strategic move. This is the fulfillment of all the ancient prophecies down to the Bible that is being portrayed before the eyes of the world. The camera and the video camera has come on the scene
just right in time to photograph and to capture the voice and the movements of Haile Selassie I. Prior to that, we didn't really have too much of this. Right on time. This is very unique. How interesting it is that whether you believe in Solomon or not, Haile Selassie and his family lineage claims a direct connection with this great King Solomon. The same King Solomon of the Bible. The King Solomon that met the Queen Candace, the Empress of Ethiopia, the Queen of Saba, the Queen of Sheba, that went across the Red Sea even into Yemen and these places. And it says that they brought forward a child, Menelik I. And the Ark of the Covenant story comes into play, and all of this went into Ethiopia, according to the Ethiopian legend. So when we consider all of this, whether one believes or not, the lineage of Solomon, Solomon is a key and accepted figure. Very important figure is King Solomon. And the lineage of King Solomon historically is said to have stopped in Ethiopia. And the lineage mixed with the monarchy stopped with Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. Interesting. Haile Selassie I, like Menelik II, had no desire to either leave the battlefield or leave Ethiopia during the time of the invasion of Mussolini and Italy. Again, Ethiopia was very strategic in putting itself into the League of Nations in the early 1920s. It was the League of Nations that Haile Selassie was approaching. Haile Selassie did not leave Ethiopia to go to England. Haile Selassie did not leave Ethiopia to spend 3.5 years away. He intended to go to Geneva and come right back. In fact, it was a vote that sent him away. They voted, and yet still, even though the vote was overwhelming, it still took Empress Menen to convince the king that the diplomatic move is the better move. And the emperor went to Geneva and addressed the League of Nations. And we all know the outcome. And World War II came about, and how mystic it is in the connections with the heavens again, that Haile Selassie I returned to his throne on the very same day and date that he left the throne, the 5th of May, 36, from the 5th of May, 41. Exactly 5 years apart, to the very day. Interesting. Speaking about esoteric messages and allegory and secret science, that's one for the books. All right. And as I said, and I've said in different occasions, Haile Selassie being a mystic being. When your 8 siblings before you come into the earth and they die at a very young age or even at birth, and then you born being the 9th child, and then after you, to add to this, after you, another one is coming and they die along with your mother. That is very outstanding to me. And although we speak of the birth of Haile Selassie is brought to an end the 7-year drought in Ethiopia, to me, the case with his siblings is something for the thought. And I will also say, in all respect to, of course, those siblings, because they have become our ancestors. So we still, give, all honor to the ancestors of ours that have paid the price in whatever form or fashion, So even with the modernizing of Ethiopia, it was always a bit of tug of war from the ancient ones and the ancient, some priests and even some of the warriors. When it came to Haile Selassie, even bringing in the airplanes and tanks, which were definitely needed for battle, and giving the soldiers shoes to wear. Some of the ancient ones were totally against that. You know, putting them in the uniform of the European design. Some of them were totally against that. But again, I am saying that we're speaking of the Lord that shall shave with a razor. And that razor was hired from the king of Assyria. Some ones consider why it is the carriage of the Kaiser, I think is the Wilhelm of Germany, that was used at the coronation of Haile Selassie I. This is all reality. This is history and reality. This is why even some of our brethren within the Rastafari faith have not used understanding with knowledge and have gone a bit off the cliff.
Listen.
With the whole understanding of the true authenticity of the lineage of Haile Selassie, plus the authenticity of the throne of Ethiopia.
Listen,
because I'm going to show you exactly who we're dealing with right now. Haile Selassie I from 1954 was a member of the Knights of the Garter. The same Knights of the Garter that I mentioned to you a moment ago. Now you see, when you ask once Haile Selassie was a Mason, some ones are quick to say, no man, Selassie ain't in them things then. And I mean, to be very honest, you cannot duck out these things when you see so many photos of the emperor, even in his regalia of the Knights of the Garter. And then of course you have the ceremony in 1972, which I'm going to show to you now. The ceremony of the Knights of the Garter going into Windsor's castle. And Haile Selassie I left Ethiopia. To me, that was a mystic move to go to England to partake in that ceremony with Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip and Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, and the Queen's mother, that is Elizabeth, the Queen's mother, not Queen Elizabeth II now, Queen Elizabeth's mommy, the Queen's mother, the widow at that time. She's dead now herself, but at that time, the widow of the then at that time and still now the deceased king, the late King George. See what I'm saying? 1972, and that's interesting to perform this ceremony just 2 years before he himself, Haile Selassie I, came off the scene. So, although he was made a knight in 1954, he has never really attended the ceremony until 1972. That's what I'm showing to you. And you will see him, you know, in the procession, you know, as you see him moving through with the knights. Now, let me just say before we go into the fullness of this, we must keep in mind that Solomon is considered as the great grandmaster of all of this. Solomon, whether you believe or not, and let me say now to all Rastafari, I don't know where some of our heads may be at right now, but you better be careful. This is why I tell people that a lot of what is out there as do you believe and do you think, I have passed that stage. I did an episode on the mystic vibration. Did Solomon really exist? That is on the YouTube. Did Solomon exist? I would advise you to go and study that expression properly. That is not something that can be done now. That's a show by itself. So did Solomon exist? I am just saying to those who are Rastafari, be very careful. Don't throw away the baby with the bath water, because Solomon again is considered, whether he's mythical or not, even if, and I'm going to say now, for conversation's sake, let us just say, because they cannot find any evidence to prove that this is Solomon, especially in Jerusalem and all of that, let us just say that Solomon does not exist. So you don't need to say, but Brother Solomon didn't exist. We're on the same page right now. There's no Solomon. You hear me? There is no Solomon. Solomon don't exist. And David don't exist. Good. Mythical character. Fair enough. I'm with you. Straight up. I ain't playing. I'm with you. Good. But whatever the case is, these Masons in the Freemasonic world, from the Knights of the Templars to the Knights of the Garter, they revere Solomon. They revere Hiram Abiff. And Haile Selassie now, according to the tradition of the Ethiopians, is of the lineage of the same Solomon. Haile Selassie now has fulfilled the prophecy of the mythical book called the Bible in many different aspects when he spoke to the League of Nations. This is seen in the book of Zephaniah. This is seen when it says in the book of Zephaniah that he shall gather all nations and pour out his wrath unto them, and he shall speak to them in a pure language. This language was taken from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Now, I mean, come on. He spoke unto them in Amharic, a language from Ethiopia. He gathered all nations together. The first head of state to address this august body, the League of Nations, 1936, the 30th of June. Prophecies that align perfectly with history. The same Solomon temple, according to the book of Chronicles, this temple was supposed to be built again for the ark, and the temple was completed on the 23rd day of the 7th month. Now the 23rd day of the 7th month, as I said in the Master of Ceremonies, the whole calendar system would be different than the Gregorian calendar. Of course, I agree. But this is where secret science and modern day masonry enters the game. Because in this modern day time, the 23rd day of the 7th month is the 23rd day of July. Now Solomon's building was completed on the 23rd day of the 7th month. Now remember, Christ already told you that he's going to break down Solomon's building and build it back up in 3 days. He was not speaking of the building made of stone. He was speaking of his own flesh, of organs and cells and tissues and muscles. That's what he was talking about. He was speaking of himself. So Solomon now, the temple that Solomon built, is more than just the temple that Solomon built. It has to do with his lineage, his bloodline, the temple that he built. The temple that Solomon built is Haile Selassie I. The same temple that housed the Ark of the Covenant. That's why it was completed on the 23rd day of the 7th month. I mean, even in the Bible, in the allegoric book, that is not historically sound according to many, you could see specific names that are used. This is Freemasonry too, if you want to call it that. This is secret science, straight up. When it speaks of in the book of John about Isaiah and Elias. And when you take the word Isaias and you take the word Elias and you scramble them, you get the name Selassie I. And when you take the name Elijah, which is Elias, and you turn it around and take away the J because there's no J in Hebrew, you get the name Haile Selassie I. From these three names, Isaiah, which is Isaiah, very key, because Isaiah is the messianic prophet that mentions Emmanuel twice in the Old Testament, and it's Isaiah that mentions it. And the third time in the New Testament in Matthew 1, 23, 1, 2, 3, three times it's mentioned, Emmanuel, in the Bible. Isaiah, there's the book called The Ascension of Isaiah, which is to say, like Elijah, Isaiah ascended. So Isaiah, and Elias, which is Elijah, are both mentioned in the same scripture when asked if the Christ was the return of any one of these. And I'm showing when you put these two names, not any names now, we didn't just grab any old names, we used two names in their right context. They were used together to speak of the return of Christ. So when you scramble these two names together now, you get Selassie I. And when you take the name of Elias, which is really Elijah, and take out the J that many say, oh, Priest Isaac, there was no J. Fair enough, let's take it out. And twist it around, you get the name Haile Selassie. We're dealing with Freemasonry here, aren't we? And Masonic and Illuminati and secret messages and secret science. I think I've showed you from nature down to the written handworks of men and translations and I would even say distorted books. That's why I said at the beginning, from Ptah to Anansi, and Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma and Shango, down to Jason and his golden fleece, Atlas, Jesus, Prester John, Solomon. You could go on and on and on. In these mythos, in these allegorical stories, and of course the heavens declare the glory, we continually come back to Kadamawe, Haile Selassie. So I'm just saying now, in my book, the Masonic world knows this, understands this. All of these different titles that were given to the emperor wherever he went. All of the different medals and degrees that he received, the honorary degrees, and doctorate of this and doctorate of that. But let us home in on the granddaddy now, the Knights of the Garter. Because remember now that the Knights of the Garter was started by Edward III, the King Edward III. But it was Prince Edward, the Black Prince, that was basically the head of the Garter. Because the Prince of Wales, whoever he may be, is always the head. He's called the Knight's Companion. And the monarch, he or she at the time, will be seen as the sovereign. But the point is, it is really the custody of the Prince of Wales. And I told you that I believe that's why the concept of Pinocchio, another Christ figure, was taken out of the whole science being swallowed by a fish and brought into the concept of being swallowed by a whale. And that is another story for another time, In fact, we have covered that already, but I just brought it in for those who follow what we do. It may add a bit more light to what was said in the past. So I'm saying here now that when we watched this ceremony in 1972, let's look at this good. We have Emperor Solomon here. I mean Haile Selassie, because greater than Solomon is here. So here is Solomon's great-great-grandchild here. We got Solomon in the house. And if you notice, this procession, you will notice, Haile Selassie is walking with the Queen's mother, Elizabeth. Not Elizabeth II, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen's mother. And they are basically at the head of the procession. After them, servants and people that are, their entourage again, their retinue. They're carrying whatever it's needed to make sure that everything goes good. You have cardinals, you have what appears to be bishops, whatever, moving along. Then you have, after that whole congregation there, you have Queen Elizabeth II now and Prince Philip. They're moving forward. And, the whole, you can see the audience, everybody is watching on. And then after them, they have their own, their own companions as well. Then you have the knights. Interesting. They go into Windsor Castle and they perform the 35-minute ceremony and they come back out. Now what I'm saying here, when you observe this very good, you will see that Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, obviously he's there because he's the Prince of Wales. This is his stuff, Whether you know it or not, this is his stuff. But interestingly, Prince Charles is not in the ceremonial line as such. He's not in the procession. How come he's not in the procession? When you observe other Knights of the Garter ceremony in the past and even up to now, Prince Charles is always in the procession. But let us take a look at a ceremony when he was in the procession with his grandmummy. The place where Prince Charles would occupy in this Knights of the Garter procession is the exact place that Haile Selassie is occupying at his visit. Interesting. Prince Charles is the Prince of Wales, and it is customary to understand that the Prince of Wales is basically the head of the Knight of the Garter. That is why some historians will tell you that the Knight of the Garter was started in 1348 by who? King Edward III. And some will say, well, no, it was started by Prince Edward, the Black Prince. Because Prince Edward, the Black Prince, and the Black Prince is not because of, he was black bad. He actually was considered to have black blood in him. And he was the elder son of the King Edward III. Wow. And he was the Prince of Wales, the knight companion. But obviously the king is the king. The king is the sovereign basically over everything. So that goes without saying. So there is the concept of the Prince of Wales really being the head honcho there of the Knights of the Garter. I'm just saying, interestingly, that when Haile Selassie visited this Knight of the Garter celebration, the Prince of Wales gave the king, well, I don't know if gave him is the right term, but the Prince of Wales came out of his position. And Haile Selassie I came into the position that the Prince of Wales, the head of the Knights of the Garter, would have had. Remember, the Knights of the Garter is the next best thing you can get to the Knights of the Temples of Solomon, which supposedly disappeared a few years before the Knights of the Garter sprung up in England. Now, after coming out of the castle, to add more, you will notice now coming out of the castle, it's a very windy day. The individuals now, you see the knights on the side of the steps, they are lying on the side of the steps, and Haile Selassie and the Queen's mother comes out. Now you will notice that they don't have on their hats. Is it because it's very windy? Nah, this is not how this goes at all, my brothers and sisters. This is ceremony, and this is an order. Only the women have on their hats. You can see the Queen and the Queen's mother with their hats. And looking good. You will see that obviously the real knights, the soldiers, them in the armored knights, I should say, in them old-time Roman armored vibes, have on their headpiece. Now you will notice that as soon as Haile Selassie I puts on his headpiece, check it. It is only when Haile Selassie I put on his headpiece, you could see the guards in the back putting on their headpiece. Look at that. Nothing here is by mistake. This is not just happening by chance. The knights cannot put on their hats. Prince Charles doesn't put on his hat. In fact, it is when Prince Charles enters the buggy that you see Prince Charles put his hat on his head, and then they roll out. Now what is happening here? Greater than Solomon is here. You may not see that, but they understand what's going on. So this is why I'm saying that even from the time of the King Edward III, and that third is very mystic, King Edward and his son, the Black Prince, Prince Edwards, the Black Prince, Prince Edwards, the Prince of Wales, interesting language. And now the current Prince of Wales is Prince Charles. Prince Charles Edwards, Charles Edwards, the Black Queen. What is this? Don't play around with it. Don't touch me. Prince Edwards, Prince Charles Edwards, King Edwards the Third. So Prince Charles now, who from the time of Prince Edwards, the tradition is still there, the Black Prince, that he is the head of the Knights of the Garter, stand above all organization. But at the coming of the Negus, the head of that august body, that order of chivalry, the head of that, the keepers of the secret of Solomon, the head of that has to come out of the way and make the king of Ethiopia take his place in the ceremony. So are you telling me now Haile Selassie is a grandmaster? Grandmaster? Haile Selassie is obviously a mason. A mason. You're going to ask the shepherd if he's a sheep? What's wrong with you? He ain't no grandmaster. Haile Selassie is the great architect. And I don't mean the builder of no building, you know, man. The great architect is considered to be the Almighty. That is why in some old arts you see him with the compass and the square designing the universe. And this is why all the ancient sciences can point right back to Haile Selassie I. We've already revealed that in the Master of Ceremonies. I'm not questioning or asking or querying. We've already proven this in the documentary 7. Everything is aligned with Kadamawe Haile Selassie. And if you don't quote unquote believe, those in the know totally understand. So this is why even us as Rastafari gotta have our head on, man. You think the world don't know who we are? It is us that are playing around. You think they don't comprehend who the sons of Haile Selassie are? And I'm gonna home in now, Bobo Shanti. As I said of the craft, you with your left hand on your heart and spinning around to the left, you never consider what all these colors about you're wearing every day. Looks like some real Mason vibes to me. And all the bowing and my lord, is them I hear talking so. Greater than Solomon is here, and he is the grand architect. So although within the midst of all that I've said, it may still sound strange to you, but Haile Selassie ain't no Mason. I know some of my brothers think he is. And as I said, historically, I mean, for conversation's sake, I gotta accept that, hey, he's a member of the Knights of the Garter, isn't he? And not just that, he has accepted so many different degrees and titles, and the Grand Cross of Victoria and the Cross of St. George and a lot of things, medals and regalia and medallions and scepters that are well aligned with Masonry and Freemasonry. So I mean, you may say, well, come on, brother, you gotta, throwing your towel, hands up. I understand. I'm not running from none of that. But I'm looking at this from a different realms. This ain't just no Mason. What are you talking about? And it's not even just Solomon, the Grand Master. Again, you are entertaining the great architect, the nucleus of existence. And thank you, Holy Man alive, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Oh yes, definitely. Thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life. All right. Honestly, family, I didn't even expect that we would watch all of that. But as you know, as you saw, we didn't start from the beginning. So you can take your time and go through it properly, even without my interruption. Because I know some of you may be watching that and say, hey, that was nice. Hey, well, hey, listen, man, we've seen it already now. No. I just brought that to you. That was done about 2 to 3 years ago. I just brought that to you. So when you come into the lecture hall Sunday, you know, we would have passed that stage. You get it? That was a prep. So that was just one stage you listened to a moment ago. So we're not intending to go through that in the depths. We just went through that a while ago. We're going to move on now. Obviously, this is going to be another level, honorable brothers and sisters. I'm talking about Haile Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry. We're going to go real deep. We're going to go real high. Obviously, it's going to be galactical. Yeah, all of those titles that the emperor have. We're going to get a clear understanding of exactly what's going on in the zone, especially even as it relates to us as Rastafari and how Rastafari connect with the cosmos and the science. You already got an understanding or overstanding a moment ago that the origin of all of this is the heavens. It's nature, I should say. of which Earth is in the heavens too. Earth is in space. It's the cosmos, the reality of everything around us, from the smallest molecule to the largest galaxy, whatever it is, and to the spiral. Everything is well geometrically well put together by the master. You could just look at an eclipse. An eclipse alone shows you the glory and the beauty of the Most High, especially when you understand the size of the sun and its distance in comparison to the size of the moon and its distance from planet Earth, and how they just perfectly just look as if they're the same size and they perfectly cross over each other. But that only happens because of where you are and how it looks from where you are. That's the hand of the Most High working there. That's high science. So now when the wicked invent their quarter, like the 4 quarter makes $1, and at the average, the length of the arm's length of an average man, when they hold up a quarter to a full moon, a bright full moon, the quarter perfectly covers the full moon. In the same way that the full moon perfectly covers, or the moon perfectly covers the sun on an eclipse. And when the earth is in between them, both the shadow of the earth perfectly cover the sun and whatever it is it covers. Perfect, eh? Perfect. Everything is just set perfect. Perfection is the same way that they design now. These are the Masons, design their quarter, so that when you hold a quarter up to the moon, you get perfect. And if you notice, the face in the moon or the face in the quarter is George Washington. And to prove it, 4 quarters make $1. Just like the moon has 4 quarters, you have the first quarter, the second quarter, last quarter. Yeah, new moon, full moon. So 4 quarters make $1, and the quarters of the moon and the quarter, when held at arm's length perfectly, is the size of the moon. But I'm showing you, they're mocking or imitating the fact that the moon, from its distance from the sun, in relation to its size, and where we are on Earth, appears to be the same size, just like the quarter. The quarter is no way the size of the moon, but it just appears so, with distance taken in consideration, arm length and all of these things. That's how it's done. So I'm just showing you from that simple example that it is just natural. It's nature, it's the dynamics of God that makes the moon, the sun appear the same size, eclipse and everything. That's the Most High. That's not Masonry. That's the great architect in motion there. But Masonry came down to earth now and said, well, let's carve out the little quarter and put a little science behind it. This is why I told you, family, with love, do not overlook the lectures, fairy tale, folly days, and nursery crimes coming in to Haile Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry. Let's just be straight with each other. I know most of you, right? You want to see Haile Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry. Somewhere in your mind, you still have the fairy tale and the Santa Claus thing as, oh, that's cartoon. We don't want to hear about cartoon. No. Listen to what I explain in here. You should know your brother by now, man. You should know me by now. You expect me to come and have you talking about cartoon, man. Come on, think. Come on, think, man. It's high science. It's high science they took, or low science, to evolve their buffoon cartoons that they give us. Pardon, cartoons that they give us. And be careful, buffoon may be some kind of African word. Mumbo jumbo and so them is African king. I was talking some strange stuff. Yeah, but I'm just trying to show you, that is why you should don't overlook the Santa Claus massacre. Everything we're dealing with is science. So even if you did not come to those lectures, I know definitely some of you that are listening surely were there. Give thanks for your presence. But those of you who, come into the lecture tomorrow evening or Sunday evening, Haile Selassie, Rastafari, and Freemasonry, trust me, man, just like how what we just watched is a prep for that, the Santa Claus massacre, the fairy tale folly days and nursery crimes, the both of them, none more than the other. Those are preps. Preps, man. Preps, both of them. I think I want to give fairy tale the edge, but both of them are preps, even for what we're going to go into on Sunday.
You understand? So just again, quickly, to seal up that point, that that's the nice thing about this program, and you can make your points uninterrupted. Yeah, that's why, again, it's just nature, unless you're in the flat earth thing. And so, I was just watching earlier before I came on, my brethren Lord Jamar and Killer Priest them. I wonder if anyone, I'm sure some of you don't watch that video. Oh my. Well, I tried to watch it, but it's so hard, man. Lord Jamar, like, you going off, man. How much F-bombs the man dropping there, really. But wow, and with such passion. And the argument is so off, and big men talking about water falling off the side of the earth. I say, wow. And remember, I was on Killer Priest. It was last week, yeah, previous strong. Yeah, and I dropped a heavy point with that flat earth meditation. No disrespect to the flat earthers, eh? It's all reasoning, as you always know. I always come with respect. And I brought in the circumpolar, conversation, because I heard Lord Jamar even mention that about how we have a North Pole. We just see polar is not moving. I said, which is, yeah, good point. Well, exactly. But we have a South Pole too. And I was watching all 8 people there. I said, nobody catch that point. Lord Jamar said we have a North Pole. So he's indicating that the North Pole is the center of the pancake earth, the flat earth. And when you're in the middle and you look up, it's there, so everything else is going around, that makes sense for the half of earth. That's more like a half of earth than a flat earth. So you're thinking of a northern hemisphere, and that would work. But there's a southern hemisphere. So that's why when you go to Peru and these places, you see the same thing. You see a Polaris down there too. No, that spot doesn't have a star, that dark spot, but the stars and constellations so close to it that they just keep going around. So there is a southern pole as well, So unless you are dealing with a flat earth concept, in the concept that we deal with, I'm showing you one more time. It is the dynamics of God that has the sun so large. 99% of the solar system is the sun, the mass. So far, 93 million miles, as we just explained in the video we just watched, the pyramid and how it's made up, and the length and the width, and times 9 to the 10th power, I can't remember everything, gives you the distance of the sun from the planet Earth in the pyramid. Yeah, pyramid, the house of fire. So and then now the little old moon just crossing in front of the sun so far away, but from where we are, all of that is the main thing, but from where we are, it just appears as if they're both the same size. That's the hand of the Most High, and there's countless of examples that we can give like that. And the spiral and so many different things, and the similarity of things in nature. Brother Vaughn Benjamin would have sung deeply about these things in a lot of his songs, like the Pride song there. Judge the Pride, deep song, man. Wow, I think that's the heaviest lyrical compilation I ever heard in my life. Judge the Pride, man. Wow. If you don't think so, maybe you just don't get what he's saying. I'm telling you, man, judge the pride. All right, so and I talk about the spiral and the hurricane and the cells, and so the atoms, and you see the similarity in nature. All of this is the Most High. Yeah, ain't no masonry, the Most High. No, I'm showing again clearly that we as high scientists took this understanding and fashioned it into the building form, pyramid, temples, etc. We're the first ones that did that. We're the first ones had buildings aligned to this and that, and stars and moon and planets and sun. We first did that. You understand? So those who took on the term Mason after a while, who obviously grafted this stuff with the same Norse theology that we spoke of yesterday. Right. Because that's what it is. They're the Masons and the Freemasons. They're the ones that carve the coin now, so the coin can be the same size as the moon, the 4 quarters and the moon and the dollar.
they are the Freemasons. So the realms of the emperor is out of them realms. The emperor is the great architect. Yeah. So it's not as if, oh well, yeah, okay, we get it now. Yeah, I'm glad. I want you to get it now. So when we go into the lecture tomorrow, we can address it as if you don't get it already, so we can go to the higher levels. Trust me, family. Man, you know how it is, and we ain't doing no online lecture unless it's something deep we get it into. And so I'm looking forward for your presence with us. Remember, you can still see the previous lectures, Fairy Tale Folly Days and Nursery Crimes, the Firing Squad edition. Yes, man, Idi Amin was in the house as well. And oh, Santa Claus got it, man. It was a real annihilation for Santa Fraud. I don't know if he's coming around tonight at all. And the Rudolph, and it was wonderful, family, wonderful, wonderful. And I pray again that we would see you on Sunday. Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life in all good doings and saying. Remember, all the links are in the description below, so you don't know what to do. Holy Emmanuel, I Selassie, Jah Rastafari, blessed Lord.